This is Hrvoje Madiraca from Warhorse. Check out our video on YouTube called Stop the War and follow Channa 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 podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have very special guest today joining again from Croatia. We got Hrvoje Madiraca joining the podcast. Hi Hrvoje.
Oh, hello, I'm doing fine. Thank you for inviting me again. It's a pleasure to be here again. And yeah, as you said, I'm Hrvoje, guitarist of Warhorse and Rapid Strike, and it's summer here in Croatia, and I'm enjoying life.
Right. So how is the morning in so tell us where you are right now and how's the weather there?
Oh, it's actually something like 32 degrees Celsius. So
Right.
it's a bit hot, right? It's 10 a.m. here local time, but it'll go to 35, which is a bit much, but we are sort of like adjusted to that, It's kind of it's pretty hot in Croatia during summer, so it's cool.
Right. Uh we chat previously, I think during the pandemic, like few months ago. And how is the situation now over there? Sort of now it's like post pandemic, and how is the situation then, and how's the status of live music and everything? How things going?
Well, it's like the old normal, the old
Mm,
normal, not the new normal. So it's the old normal plus the fact that the virus is still around, so we have to be a bit careful about that because there are still a number of cases. So if you want to label it post-pandemic or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, it's normal as it can be. Yes, so like the bars are open, the restaurants, people can gather. The live gigs, for God's sakes, they have returned. So yeah, you can go to a gig, which was basically like for 2 years. Where's live music? But and yeah, here it is, and that's something to enjoy,
yeah. So
especially
like,
especially for me. And
right. So luckily, we also have a couple of, we have local gigs started in the Philippines as well. So I was able to go to a couple of gigs, but it's still quite awkward because when you go there, and then you don't know whether you should shake hands, whether you do a fist bump, or whether you should hug. So it's like, it happened to me last night also. I was doing a fist bump and he was like giving his hand. So it's like, it's so awkward. We are still getting used to that, right?
yeah, 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 but that's maybe a cultural thing because here in Croatia it's not so much. It was like all the measures are down. Oh, let's hug like the next day, So I haven't felt that, to be honest, but I think that maybe your approach is a bit better since the virus is still around and the numbers are still, so maybe it's a bit good to be careful still. But yeah, so who knows? But I mean, I think that in a lot of parts of the world, yeah, some people act differently. Some are still afraid, and they have a good you know reason to be. And but things will s- like for some time, will be like, especially when you deal with people from different backgrounds or countries, you still don't know, like, are you gonna go for a fist bump or a
Right.
handshake. So you'll take like a measured approach. But I can only speak for us across here. It's like normal. It's like totally normal, which may be a good thing and maybe it ain't so much. So I don't know what to say, but I can imagine it being awkward,
Right.
still because that we all felt that for like 2 years, So should, shall I do this? Shall I do? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was always like, but it's normal that that's still around, right? So
Yeah. So one thing I also realized, like, now people, I mean, of course, COVID was a I mean, it was a serious matter few like last 2 years, but now it seems like the virus actually sort of it's not that strong as before, right? It seems like people are just getting COVID and then they're still like I see people still say, okay, I got COVID last week, and then seems there seems fine.
Yeah, it seems that Omicron started changing the rules because
Mm,
like when it appeared the last like what December last year or January this year, yeah, that was like the variant with the mother symptoms, and afterwards, yeah, I think that most of the people who got COVID-19 were like, okay, I had a fever for one day, but otherwise I'm fine. Was before that with the Delta and the original variant, the
yeah,
whole history, it was like, phew, not this, not legitimately this, not only that, but you were like stricken in bed for a week or two, or God forbid you end up on a respirator taking oxygen. But I heard that there are still cases, when things can go wrongly. So you never know. You never know.
right.
So
So the last time when we talk, we primarily talk about your band Rapid Strike. So
yeah,
from that time until now, what's the status of Rapid Strike? What did you guys do so far?
yeah. So we're now in the rehearsal stages. So we are trying to set up a tour this winter. And yeah, it's going really well. The lineup is solid, and we are, catching in the pattern of things, like two rehearsals per week, and it's really getting well. And we just need to sort out things with Bexy since she lives in the UK. When can she come to Croatia for the final set of rehearsals? And we'll start booking some dates, hopefully, in Croatia, and most probably the first leg in Croatia, and then we'll see how how it happens and what develops. But we're into it. It's not that I've jumped ship. It's
Right,
Rapid Strike is still active, and it's going. It was slowed down because of the pandemic, but yeah, it is what it is. So we're
right.
getting like into the hang of things properly now.
Yeah, so I can actually see there's a lot of international bands are now touring, especially in Europe and
Mm.
US. There's a lot of touring happening. Is there any bands coming to Croatia?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We had Kiss last week. We
Wow.
yeah, well, at their end of the road. What was it
Right.
called? The
End of the world
last
tour.
farewell tour, yeah, end of the world tour. So that was amazing. We had a Maiden on 22nd of May, I believe. And yeah, but I mean, you can end with Maiden and Kiss, and that's fine,
Yeah.
And there are still like club gigs, gigs happening with international bands. So yeah, it's all starting to shape as it was before. The gigs and international gigs coming, and international bands coming to Croatia. So it's really nice. It's part of that old normal that we were speaking about. So that's great.
Right. I mean Kiss anyway, like they would do another farewell tour, right? After a few years. So
Who knows? But judging by the state of their performance, they could do that. I mean, but I've looked on YouTube some interview with Gene, and he said, "Look, I'm 70. I just cannot wear these platform boots anymore, and I'm
right.
starting to imitate his voice, which is." But I mean, they really sounded great, So I mean, to be 70 and still be that good, it's respect, respect. I don't know what to say,
Right.
So that was so
So,
cool.
so do you watch a lot of TV and movies?
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix,
That,
right?
that,
So
that, 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 that's the post effect of COVID. Okay.
right, and then I think I mean what I notice is like last few years, like, probably like the last year, all these movies that is coming up, they tend to have all the 80s music, right? 80s, like 90s, all the rock, all the, the glam rock. And then I was like watching Thor last week, a few days ago, and then it was like full with Guns N' Roses. All the whole movie was like there were four Guns N' Roses songs in the movie itself.
That's cool, man. That's great. Yeah, yeah. There is some kind of a feeling in like the video media, TV series and the movies that there's a bit of an more than a bit of 80s nostalgia. So that's great. I mean, and Stranger Things, like
Yeah,
Metallica was again in the charts because of that scene. That was so cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great thing.
There's another great TV series called The Peacemaker that's on HBO. I don't know if it's starring John Cena as the Peacemaker. It's a DC comic thing, and they in that series they had like all the Faster Pussycat, Pink, Pretty Boy Floyd, and Guns N' Roses, and all these all the glam LA glam bands, and it was really
So
part of the
cool.
story. So it's really interesting. I don't see other today's music in the series. It's all either it's like early 80s or early 90s songs are there.
Yeah, so we're coming back, you see.
It's all
No, but
coming
I
back.
mean, yeah, but it's all coming back because my theory is that good music cannot lose its relevance. You know what I mean? So it all just turns around. Maybe in a couple of years we'll have a 60s nostalgia or 70s nostalgia or 90s or 2000s. So I mean, but what's good stays. It stays just in public consciousness, and so you can never forget about it. So it's just a matter of it's not trendy. It's always there. It can only be like here, and something can push it like to this level, at this level. So
Right.
it doesn't surprise me, to be honest with it.
Yeah. So I got this uh, on mail. So thanks
Yeah.
for this. And how
Okay.
is this album doing on like in the streaming? How is it going with the responses on the for the album?
Oh, you know what? We didn't really went for the streaming stuff. We went for the physical copies
Right.
and everything. Yeah. Um, Not to get into the whole, but it's almost sold out. Like so, without any gigs. So I don't know. I think that's pretty good.
Right.
Really. So we have some like we left some copies, so that when we play live, of course, that people can buy it there. But it did well. I think that it did well. So judging by the numbers, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't like 2,000 copies, right? But it did well. And thanks for everybody who supported us and supports us still. It's all due to the fans, and hey,
Right.
if not for them, why even bother, right?
Right. So you just mentioned that there was Iron Maiden in Croatia like few months
Mm,
back, and then
yeah,
your new project is in a way it's kind of related to Iron Maiden in a way, right? So
yeah. Anyway,
how tell me when you first discovered Iron Maiden. Like you remember that like
mm, avidly, yeah, vividly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
what was do you remember like what was the first song or you remember from them?
the first song would be, I think, Prowler, actually, from the debut album.
Right.
Uh, yeah, that was Paul singing on that album, and I was immediately blown away because although the first thing that got me into heavier music was like grunge, Nirvana.
Mm.
As soon as I heard Maiden, like that was immediately after, I was like, oh my god, what is this? And I immediately bought like, the first the 80s classic albums, and yeah, I fell in love with the whole sound, with the whole band, with the songs, with their concepts, with their artwork, and everything that makes Maiden basically. And yeah, I was immediately drawn into that world. So I could, yeah, I could comfortably state that Maiden is my very first metal band, and afterwards came Metallica and the whole '80s thing, which I love. But Maiden was actually the first, and the first song was Prowler.
Right. So I think for me it was "Hello, Hallowed Be Thy Name." I think that's the first song I heard, because I think one of when I was in Sri Lanka, there was this local band. They were like they did a cover of that. Then I went and searched for what was the original song. Then I discovered there was a band called Iron Maiden. And I really remember Iron Maiden has this famous live album, Rock in Rio. They had like a red one and a blue one. There was like two albums. That's the first one I remember. Uh, so talking about the debut album, so I mean your new project, Warhorse, is actually you're working with Paul Diano, right? Who is
That's right.
the first singer of Iron Maiden. So how did this happen? Tell me the story behind it. How the whole Warhorse thing happened, and how did you met Paul?
Oh wait, I have to pinch myself, still.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working with Poliano. He's my singer. I'm not his guitar player.
right.
I'm just joking, Spinal Tap stuff. Yeah, but it is. I mean, as I've said before, Maiden is my first metal band. So if you could time travel and tell that kid, back in 2004 that he'll be working with Paul Diano, he'll that kid would be like, "Are you on something?" Or but that's life for you, basically, how it happened. Well, Paul had and still has, unfortunately, his health condition, and well, he was looking for treatments, countries that provide the best treatment, and he ended up in Croatia
Mm,
through a mutual friend, Stjepan Juras, and all of the fundraising that went on in the UK before that via Castro Pergioni, who owns Carts and Horses, the birthplace of Iron Maiden. Um, so basically, those guys were looking for for the best way for Paul to get in better shape, to get treatment. And yeah, then he came to Croatia, to Zagreb, and immediately he had an idea. Us musicians, he wanted to do some original stuff, original material, new material, and to form a new band. And our mutual friend Stjepan Juras, he introduced us. We chatted a bit. We talked more than a bit. We clicked like
right.
right away. And yeah, I mean, things started happening. Uh, Songs were getting, like on a factory line. You like this, you like, oh, me too. We can do this, we can do that. And so we started working together, and boom, we have 4 songs wrapped as of this moment, and gearing up towards fifth, not fifth full album. So it's busy, but it works because we have kind of a similar energy and we like similar things. We have a similar taste in music, so we get along really well, and work ethic is strong, and we just enjoy doing this. And Warhorse is here to stay.
Right. I actually today before the interview, I actually got this out because and I think there was also a photo of Paul here. Like he was so young, right, that time,
Yeah.
and and I see that this during this time there is a good video also on YouTube, that live video of Drifter. They're
Mm.
singing Drifter. It's a live cut, and I see that they were very much like very punk influenced early days, right? It was very
Yeah.
like sort of a punk show. Iron Maiden shows were like punk show, but now it's sort of
Yeah.
diverted into more of operatic, sort of a epic kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different, but that was like the old days. It was very so cool, actually,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so punk, actually.
Yeah, I totally get you. There was like this vibe of, almost like, not sleaze rock, but not totally punk, but just a crossover like metal and classic rock and a bit of punk and
Right.
Paul's image. He was like, oh my God, you have short hair in the 80s and you're like in a metal band. He stood out basically, and he gave them a lot of that, let's say, street credibility. There was a lot of, okay, I mean, Steve was the main songwriter and they were all really young and everything, but I tend to agree with you a lot. Those first two records had a distinct vibe, you know, like more of a straightforward,
Mm.
kind of a songs and vibe that isn't present today or afterwards immediately after. Number of the Beast is like a different story, it's a different kind of a vibe, as you put it. And yeah, so I mean, I love all eras of Maiden.
Mm.
They really have something great in all of them. But for me, those first two albums, they always stood out because they were like a conundrum, of everything that turned out so well. And probably, back then it was like uncharted waters because you had
Mm.
like older bands, like from 70s, like Deep Purple, you had Black Sabbath, and you had Judas Priest, and like what is metal wasn't so defined back then, if you know what I mean. So probably they were like experimenting a lot, and they just started their galloping style and everything, and so I mean, they were still searching for that sound, but the search was so much worth it that it resulted in two classic albums. I mean, two of the most classic albums in all of metal, in my opinion.
Right.
So it's definitely like everything collided in such a good way, lightning in a bottle. Basically, that's what happened with Maiden, I think. So
Right.
the songs, the image, the awesome artwork, everything just basically clicked.
Yeah, I actually see that also in the other metal bands as well. Like for example, when Metallica did Kill 'Em All, it kind of sounded bit raw than the others, and then eventually, because
Sure.
I think what happens is they get better in production, so they have more options, and probably that's why the sound changes, right? Because same thing with, I think, Slayer also, right? The Slayer early, like Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, it's like it's kind of raw, right? And it becomes sounding more wholesome as it's move on. So I think it's just a factor of that. Um, no, now
Definitely.
Warhorse. Who is Warhorse?
Okay. So Warhorse is Paul, me, and Pupi. So the vocalist and two guitar players, and we're all composing.
Mm,
Basically, we're all songwriters. The first batch of songs were mostly done by me and Pupi alone. But for now onwards, from now, Paul will help out with the lyrics, and that's the core of the band. The three of us. And for the duration of recording this album, we'll be employing top musicians for studio work,
mm.
such as Daniel Stoyan, Peta Šantić, my dear friend Becky Baldwin. I'm wearing her shirt. She's awesome. Um, and we just want to, uh, we just want to do our stuff, and we'll sort out the drummer and the bass player for live stuff when the live stuff starts to happen. If you know,
Mm.
get me, So uh, I mean, this is for us the best mindset to work in, and we just enjoy working. When we are just writing, so who could play bass on this, who could play drums on that, and that's cool. I mean, that's that's the vibe that's happening, and so As for now, it's not a full lineup, but that's the foundation of the group, and the full lineup will be announced. Well, when it will be announced, you know.
Right. Right. The so you already have a song out. You have a music video out called "Stop the War," and
Yeah.
I know that you're in a way that's put the focus on the Ukraine, what's happening in Ukraine.
Mm,
But was
yeah.
the song written because of Ukraine, or was the song already there?
For the Ukraine. Yeah. For the war basically. So what happened was when the news broke out, we were all so all of us were so like appalled, disgusted because it's so inconceivable that something like this could happen in the 21st century.
Right.
It's so you know what can a normal person feel when something like this happens. So we all felt very passionately about that injustice taking place, and at least at least the least thing that we could do as musicians is to do a song about that, maybe to raise awareness a bit, to do our tiny bit to help, to give support and everything. And yeah, basically it was like no brainer for us. We were like one mind, about that. Okay, what can we do? We can do a song, and
Right. Right.
that's
I
the
mean,
story of the song.
yeah, I have the same view that these things shouldn't happen in the 21st century, right? I think we, as a human race, I think we have already grown, right? So why do we even go back to that? And so, because I was in some of the forums about this when it happened, and people are just trying to like justify or something, but I don't think you can justify it now. It's not the case, right?
No, man, I totally agree with you, and I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to say about. Everybody's entitled to his or her or their own opinions, but
Right.
I'm totally. This is wrong. That's it. End of the story for me.
Mm.
I mean, I couldn't justify killing a rabbit, let alone invading a sovereign country.
Right.
For
Right.
me, it's just I'm getting so emotional, like even talking about this, that it gets me so, you know, it just needs to stop. And as much as it is for Ukraine, and it's also like a universal song, like a plea for help. Just stop the wars,
Mm.
like stop the war. Just basically, it has no place in today's society. No, none whatsoever.
Right. And I think, I mean, if we actually stop the war and all the money that goes to all the resources and time that goes on into all these wars, I think we can fix all the problems in the world already, right?
You said it, mate. Yeah, look at all those defense budgets and everything. World hunger, yeah, I think it could be sold out, but it is what it is. I mean, we can all, I think we can all do, like, as citizens of
Mm.
planet Earth, we can all do something. It's we mustn't give up, and not to cave into like that mindset of, oh, we're just individuals. What can we do? Nothing, basically. I think we can all work in our respective fields to raise the global consciousness about it, and maybe things will change that way.
Right. Yeah.
When
Because
people, sorry, yeah.
yeah, good. I was actually, I had couple of guests actually from Ukraine on this show. And then it was like when I see the updates coming, what they put in Facebook and all that, it was really sad to see that these are, I mean, very nice people, right? So it was kind of emotional for me to also see that happening to people I know. I mean, people I talk, like this, having a call with them. So yeah, it's a very sad situation.
Yeah, yeah, it's it's horrifying, but it will get better. It must, people
Right.
must stay optimistic because at the end, everything, not everything, but what can get sorted out gets sorted out. So it won't last forever. It just cannot.
Right. I want to talk about this music video. So I know that uh, it was more of a like a combination of lyrics and some shots of you guys singing. But I mean, it was really powerful, especially the how Paul put those lyrics out, like the way he sings. It's like
Mm,
very powerful video, right?
thanks a lot. Well, we tried our best. So yeah, we were going for a combination of live band footage and sort of the cinematic quality that Andy Pilkington, who was the overall director of the video, he can bring those things into the table to the table. You mentioned like a lyric video, but you saw those 3D animations that he did and everything, and
Right.
he made a perfect job of blending like the band shots and like the cinematic, let's say. Maybe it's a bit pretentious to say, but he has done such a superb job on like bringing those two different things together and synchronizing it all. And cheers to Andy. I think I'm really pleased with how all of that turned out, and the song and the video. So I think that we would achieved what we set to achieve, and with the song and with the overall message of the song. So yeah, and Paul's vocals, yeah, he's he's yeah, he's Paul the animal.
Right. So I'm quite excited about the other. You mentioned there are a few more songs that you have actually worked on. Are these songs going to be released soon?
Well, we'll try to release something every few months, but of course we cannot release everything and then leave nothing for the album.
Right.
For the album itself, it's sort of. I mean, who knows what's a good marketing strategy nowadays? But uh, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We haven't talked about the next release. Will it be another single from the album?
Right.
Which probably it will probably, but when I guess we'll know in like month or two. But we'll try to keep people engaged. Every few months put out something and just just keep people engaged because judging from the reaction for Stop the War, people really liked the song and the video, and we're really humbled by that, and we're happy about the whole reaction. So once again, thanks to the fans, they're just everything. When you see that what you do affects people in a good way, it's hey, what more can you ask of when you're a musician? So
Right. And I know Warhorse is actually offering something called a 666 bundle. It's a merch
oh,
bundle. What is that?
yeah. So what happened was when Paul basically, this is really a true story. So when Paul came to Croatia, uh, although the doctors were positive and still are positive, there were still a lot of things that were unknown with what's really going on with his body. So the funds that were raised back in the UK and in Croatia, uh, at the start, the doctors thought that it would cover everything, that amount would basically amount to everything.
Mm,
But as the thing started to unravel, and a few more health issues started, all related to his legs, basically, started to unravel, while the costs started piling up, of course. So the amount that was initially
mm,
collected wasn't able to cover for the whole operation and rehabilitation process. So what we decided to do as a band, I mean, we just had two songs done at that point. So we basically gave, not gave, but we put up a bundle along with Stepan Juras's books and Diano T-shirt, and it was all basically orchestrated by Stepan. But the main thing is all of the bundles that were bought by the fans, the money that they spent on that went directly to Paul, or to put it better, for his treatment. So,
Wow.
and with that in mind, I mean, the fans. I mean, what can really one say about the fans? So, with that in mind, like his treatment was able to continue going on, and afterwards, Maiden stepped in. So now we get the full picture, and the books are closed. Financial
Mm.
books are closed. So
Wow.
so yeah, basically, uh, yeah, it was for Paul's treatment. So everybody who bought the bundle supported Paul's treatment basically, and that's really, I think that's really human,
Right.
for
And I think
lack of
that's
a
what
better word.
really like the metal community is, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the best thing. I mean, again, what can one say? Thank you guys, thanks, and I'm sure that Paul appreciates it. I know that he appreciates it so much. So you know, it's really great. It's all by the fans for the fans, basically.
right. So, what's your message to the viewers who's going to watch this video and who's going to listen to this conversation?
Well, first of all, listen to Channa podcast, Channa 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 podcast. It's a great podcast. He's a great host. Support your gigs, support your musicians. I don't know what. Enjoy your life this post-pandemic period. Uh, and if you like music, buy physical records. And if you're into streaming, that's cool as well. But basically, just enjoy your life to its fullest each and every day of your life. And that's basically it. What can I think of anymore? So, yeah.
Right. Anybody you want to shout out to?
Yeah, sure. Paul, Bexy James, Pupi, Stjepan Juras, Becky Baldwin, Pero Šantić, Daniel Stojan. I don't know. Everybody, the fans, you're the greatest. And
Right.
that's it.
Uh, so if anybody just discovered that there's a new project by Paul with you, this Warhorse, and if they want to in touch, what's the best way? What's the best way to connect with Warhorse?
Yeah, if you have Facebook, just search Warhorse, and you'll see a camo logo with like a camouflage around it.
Mm.
So just like and follow and just click, and you can also see the video watch the video on YouTube. Basically, Warhorse Stop the War. Subscribe if you have the time, and and things are just starting to develop. So website is not there at this moment, but yeah, keep in touch with us if you like what we do. So yeah.
Right. So Hrvoje, so it's really nice to talk to you again, and I'm really, really was excited when you reach out to me again, and when I saw the Warhorse music video, and it's such a great video, and it's like it's there's so much. It's a great message, and you can see
Thank
Paul, and then we are like renewing Paul to another. It's becoming it's another a band. I saw in Wikipedia how many projects he has done, collaborations. So Voice is another one, which is like the latest one. So, uh, wish you all the best with Warhorse, and I looking forward to all the new songs and the
Oh,
album.
yeah. Thanks a lot, and I mean, thanks a lot times three, and also, I mean, you immediately crossed my mind when we released it because I mean, I just love being a guest here, and you're a great host, and I love your podcast, and I try to view it with many of your other guests as I can, as life gives me time to do so. So
Right.
I've been following you, and keep at it, bro. Keep up the good work, and that's just it. You know.
Okay. Thanks for joining again, Hrvoje. So we'll talk again when the album comes out.
Okay, well,
Right. So
cheers, mate.
have a great day.